You're listening to the Into the Woods podcast with your hosts, Dermot and Michael. Let's get into it.
Wonderful chase by Heath
Cox again. I cannot believe it. Dacos nearly runs out of room. He's goal. Jamie Elliott has won the game of footy for this famous club. Slap for Nick Dacos. He's going to be the hero. The little champ is going to pick the winner.
Here's the Degoe moment. He unloads. Bang! You need your stars. And Collingwood stars just went and wrenched the cup back.
If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. For Spotify and Apple listeners, a 5-star rating would be greatly appreciated. Make sure you hit the bell icon on any of those platforms to be notified as soon as new episodes are released. You can find us on X at Into the Woods Pod and on Instagram at Into the Woods Pod 10. Thanks for your ongoing support by helping the podcast grow. Go Pies! Welcome to the first September edition of the Into the Woods panel show. I'm your host Dermot, and for the next hour or so, we'll be talking about all things Collingwood. Once again, I'm joined by Michael. How are you, Mick?
Yep, good, thanks. Yep, keen to hear what everyone's got to say.
The listeners are probably wondering, what's this guy doing next to me? Isn't that Michael's chair? How do you feel about this, Michael?
Well, I can confirm, yes, it is my chair. And he better not get too comfortable. Not happy about it. No, I don't know why. I can't articulate happy. It just
very fair.
It doesn't.
You've been subbed, Michael.
What's that, sorry?
You're the sub.
Yeah.
You've been Will Hoskin Ellioted.
Yes. Seems you're right, Lipinski.
Gone too far there, Paige.
Well, if he is any good, he might have a permanent role here, I reckon.
I wouldn't be too worried, Michael, but, we'll see how we go.
For the people that aren't watching us on YouTube and they're listening on Spotify and Apple, that is Oscar, the Prince of Margate, as we call him, the great leggy from down Tassie. He's joining us, and he is our first panel member. So we'll get into it. And how do you feel about, well, I guess being here today, in as I just said, in Michael's seat? You nervous? It's big shoes to fill?
I am actually a little bit because, I've done one panel show, but, I was just my own room there. I just feel like there's a little bit more pressure in this seat. But no, I'm feeling good. Keen for this week, so.
Absolutely. And our next panelist is also a second-timer. After making her first appearance in July, she's back for the business end of the season. Welcome, Paige.
Thanks so much for having me again, guys. Excited to be back, and best time of the year, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And our third and final panel member is back for his third appearance, I think it is. He was managed last month for the August ep, but he's back. He's raring to go for September. It's our VFL expert, Serge.
G'day, guys. Happy to be here with such a esteemed guests and panelists.
It's
Where's
good
Michael?
it's good to have you back. What are you, Michael? You're not
Actually,
the host.
Michael's
You're not a panel member. What the hell are you?
Michael's more attractive today.
There you go. I am more attractive.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, sorry. There you go. You're back.
I'm here for my beefcake looks.
All right. Now, before we get into the agenda, I thought it would be kind of interesting to sort of set the scene and get the finals vibes up and going. And I thought we could maybe look back on past finals games and get everybody's favourite memory from week one of the finals. I'm talking qualifying finals and elimination finals and all that kind of stuff. I will sit this one out because in our last regular episode, put together my top 10 finals since 2002 outside of grand finals. So if you want to hear that, go back and listen to the last podcast. But I'm interested to get the thoughts of you four. And we'll start with you, Prince.
All right.
What is your favourite ever game or moments, those kind of things, from an elimination final or a qualifying final?
Yeah, for sure. So, look, honestly, this was actually kind of hard for me. Like, honestly, I was looking back and I was like, most of my favourite moments are from, like, prelims or even semi-finals and things. But so I've just gone with, obviously I have very fond memories of 2010. So that was just in my head. So I'm just going with the flogging of the Western Bulldogs in week one of the finals in 2010. where we just pretty much dominated from the outset, won by about 10 goals. Side bottom and like our midfield was just dominant. Side bottom and Swan kicked like 3 each. Didac was terrific. I remember Maxwell, he was great for that final series really, but he was excellent that night. So yeah, like that just kind of stood out to me. I'm sure others will have some potentially more exciting moments, but that stuck out to me as the start of a very good finals campaign.
As soon as you said that game, I thought straight away Alan Didak from the boundary line, check side. I mean, everyone here would have probably had the same image in their head.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're nodding. Paige is smiling and nodding. So
So anyway,
Ah,
that's the
what
one
a
that stuck
day.
out to me. But
I had my take on that one was Dane Swan 3 goals, Steele side bottom 3 goals, and we kept the Bulldogs scoreless in the first quarter.
see, I don't remember a lot from that game other than we smashed them and the Didak goal, but
Yeah.
still side bottom. How old would he have been at the time? 19?
19 years old. Yep.
He's just it's from the very start. Like I remember, I think the year before, 2009, he played a ripping game. I think it was the Jack Anthony game against Adelaide. Like he's just from the get-go, just been an absolute superstar on the biggest
Absolutely.
stage. It's incredible that he's still going now.
What
Righty.
about bad kicking? We kicked 4 goals 9 in the second quarter. Final score 17-22, 124 to 8-14, 62.
Was it close at halftime then? Or
Was it? No, it was a blowout from the start. I think they got some goals in the second quarter, mainly because of our bad kicking, but they were just as bad. It was we were pretty much on top the whole time.
Yeah, nice. What about you, Paige? What's your favourite memory from week 1 of the finals?
Oh, look, there's a few. I mean, I do have fond memories of 2006 eliminator of Brodie Holland coming off the line and putting Brent Montgomery into an absolute casket. That was a pretty good moment. Game didn't turn out too well for us. But I just remember that so vividly and thinking, oh shit, it's going to be that kind of day, isn't it? That was pretty good. Look, the 2020 final against West Coast over in Perth, we win by a point.
Yeah.
Eagles were undefeated all year at Optus Stadium, and we pipped them by a point, and it kind of felt like we got something back after 2018. Weirdly, you never get them back, do you? But that was pretty good. But I think for me, probably the one that really sticks out more than anything, and maybe because it was in such like formative years for me, was the 2003 qualifying final win over Brisbane. And it just kind of felt like, Chris Tarrant kicked 3 goals. Nathan Buckley had a couple. Alan Didak had a couple. I'm pretty sure Josh Fraser was one of the best on the ground that night. And I just remember thinking, after 2002, we got pipped and robbed, and that was so hard to sit through. I kind of thought after that game, oh my God, it's our time. It's our time. And that game was if you can beat Brisbane in that qualifying final, it kind of felt like the next step would be to win a flag. Obviously, it was not to be because they absolutely pumped us. But it was such a good memory.
I was going to say, it felt like a natural progression from the previous year, didn't it?
It did. It felt like we grew up. Felt like a coming of age kind of moment where we sort of thought, the list in 02 and 03, there's not a lot of differences, but it just felt like the group had taken this
the next step.
Massive step forward, and a young Chris Tarrant, a very young Alan Didak, he
won us the game.
Oh, didn't he? I mean, that goal. Oh, good memories. Good. And I was at that game too. So,
How many weeks did Brodie Holland end up getting for that hit?
6 weeks, I'm pretty sure.
What would it be these days?
It'd be like it'd be a public lynching, I think.
Oh yeah.
It'd be death by the firing squad, I'm pretty sure.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Michael next, only because I want to end this segment on a high, and I'm not sure he would be the right guy to end it. So go on, Mick. Give us your best moment from the week 1 of finals.
Well, this is ending on a high. This is a 46-point win. And I wanted to leave this century for you younger participants. So I thought I won't pick one from this century because you guys might pick it. So, and then I looked at the 80s, and we, like in 88, 89, we went out in straight sets. In 81, we kind of lost our first. So there wasn't a lot to choose from, even the 80s. But I've gone to 84. I was at this game with Dad and my uncle and cousin. 153 to 107. Fitzroy, I think was it a qualifying? You might be able to tell me, Serge, off the top of your head.
Elimination. Yeah, thanks, mate. That's what I was going to score. But yeah, elimination.
No.
Keep going. I've got.
I should have gone Serge first. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Oh, this is Serge. You come with the same one?
No, I've got others. Don't worry about it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I thought this was obscure and nobody would pick it.
I kind of wish I went Serge first, because before I spoke to Michael and I said, do you have backups in case anyone takes it? And he said, I don't need backups. No one's going to take it. So I would have loved to have seen him score.
What? So, one, like on paper, we look like such a good, like, and they statted up. Mark Williams kicked 6 down forward. He could always go down forward and contribute a few goals, but kicked 6 this day. Tony Shaw had 36 possession. Jeff Rains had 28. Mike Richardson kicked 3 and had 27. Darren Mullane in his first year, he had 18 and 1. I think he made his debut against Sydney kind of mid-year at Victoria Park. I was at that game. So he hadn't been in very long. Ian McMullen. Now, I didn't look this up, Serge, but I thought you could tell me.
Second game, mate. That was his second game.
I was going to say, is it his first or second? He kicked 5.
Second. He played the week before against Footscray.
Right, yeah, 5 that day. And just on paper, if you look through the names, as along with those guys I just mentioned, you had, Phillips, Cloak, Abernathy, who was a top player, Abernathy, Barham and Dacos, of course. So on paper, we had a very good look inside. We went on to thump Carlton the next week, but then I sat through the worst final, the worst Belton I've ever seen in my life. 133 points to Essendon in the prelim. I don't know if that's the biggest losing margin in finals history. I'm pretty sure it's for Collingwood. It's definitely, but that was a dreadful game. David Toomey was another guy who played in this game. He was a relation to the famous Toomey brothers. He looked like, I don't know your recollection of him, Serge, but he looked like he was going to be a top player. And then he just fell. Yep. There were rumours at the time. I don't want to talk about the rumours because they may very well not be true. But he looked
desperate. Talk about the rumours.
No, look, he found himself on the wrong side of the tracks. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Twice.
Wrong side of the tracks. Dabbled in a few things he maybe shouldn't have dabbled in. But he looked like he was going to be a top halfback flanker. Played a great 81 grand final. But just fell away. But yeah, so that game, I was there, and it was just a really enjoyable game because we did it fairly easily. All the stars played well, and beautiful weather too, from memory. And Wes Fellows, I was looking at the stats.
Oh, my boy.
Your favourite, Dermot. Well, the stats I've got, which I find hard to believe, he didn't register a hit out. I'm sure he would have spent a bit of time in the ruck. David Cloak would have.
David Cloak was the number one ruckman, yeah.
Cloak was there, and he would have been number one. But Wes would have spent some time in the ruck, he would have thought. But so I'm not sure about the stats. I looked at there. But that's it for me. So I went very obscure, confident nobody else would grab it.
Well, you're just lucky that I chose you before Serge. Otherwise, you would have been stuffed.
Yes, exactly.
That's okay. All good. One of the interesting things about that year, Michael, which I didn't realise till looking at it again, is the attrition rate of Collingwood players that we lost from that game onwards was quite remarkable. And so no wonder we got pantsed in that preliminary final.
Let me go. We lost Cloak and Mark Williams.
Yeah.
So vice captain didn't play today. But even allowing for that, I remember Leon Baker kicking 4 from a forward pocket in the first quarter in that game. He started, he was a centreman, of course, very good centreman, but he started forward, and I'm not sure we were expecting that. because it was basically all over at quarter time, or pretty much. Writing was on the wall. Were you there, Serge?
No, I was. You're not going to believe it. I was in at the Gold Coast, and thank heavens they had a power. The power went out. Right, so you couldn't find a TV working anywhere. And believe me, I tried. I was at the Gold Coast. I went to a couple of surf lifesaving clubs, and nothing. It with the power had all gone out. So when the power was restored, it was very, very sickening.
Yeah. Blessing in disguise, I think it was.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rightio, Serge, what have you got for us?
All right, I got a couple, but just out of interest, I went to the semi-final back in '70 where Collingwood and Carlton played. Pies won that game by 10 points. The attendance was 112,000 people. We won our 14th minor premiership. We had 18 wins for the season. There was 10 lead changes before that disgusting grand final. Key moments of that particular game was Sid Jackson got reported for striking Lee Adamson, but remarkably played the next in the grand final. So
Well, we all know that. You want to touch on the story?
Yeah, should I? Well,
it's up to you. No,
yeah.
Well, I'm interested now. I don't know.
Well, there was
you can't leave that on the
claims.
table.
Yeah, there was racist claims that he'd called him something, which anyone that knows Lee Adamson, look, I don't believe it, but I think both clubs agreed that the best thing was to stick up for Sid Jackson, and he got off. Is all I'm going to say.
But like Sid Jackson came out about 15 years ago and clarified that it wasn't true.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So he said it wasn't.
Go on.
Carlton's president at the time cooked up the idea. And
to get him off. Yeah.
Was it Harris? Might have been Harris, or he might have been.
Yes.
It was Harris.
Yeah.
So, and Lee Adamson had to live with that for.
Yes, which is a pity because, you're right. That was unfair.
Yeah, nice guy. Used to live near me in Montmorency. He used to see him down the shops. But nice bloke. But yeah.
So just to wrap that one up, just to give you an idea, Peter McKenna kicked 9 goals that game, and Des Tuddenham was our best player. He had 26 disposals. Interestingly enough, in the grand final, which was the replay, both Des Tuddenham and Peter McKenna were injured. One had concussion, but they didn't take him off back in the day. So it was a very.
Should love a key
in
forward in this
final.
day and age to kick 9.
Well, he kicked 5 up, and that was. This is where I think we lost it. He kicked 5 up until half time, and Des Tuddenham actually collected Peter McKenna accidentally, and both came off second best. So we were virtually down 2 players. So is it any wonder? But interestingly enough, even though we dominated that year, it was always close between us and the Blues. My other pick, which was the 2007 elimination final between Collingwood and Sydney. At the MCG, 64,645 people. We just kicked 6 goals up. They were the key moments. Rocket ended up kicking 6 goals. Pendles had 24 disposals. Heath Shaw 23. And a blast from the past, people. Sean Rusling kicked 3 goals, and Mr. Cloak kicked 3 straight.
Could have been anything.
Yep.
Yeah. As soon as you said that Sydney match, my first thought was Sean Ruslan. I watched highlights of that only a couple of months ago. But
has there been a better number 2 in that era?
Tony Francis.
Tony Francis, please, Tony Francis.
Not a fan page?
He got his first kick at West Coast.
Oh, God. No, I love Tony Francis back in the day.
Yeah.
Michael did not like him, did you, Mick?
Well, Tony Francis was my Will Hoskin Elliott of the day.
Oh, Michael, please.
What Tony Francis would normally do, just give me a second. Tony Francis...
other than kick the opposition.
It was Rance's father, wasn't it, I think? It was Rance Senior, I think he kicked.
Yeah, I think so. It wasn't hard enough for my liking, but anyway.
So Tony Francis typically would pick the ball up, run 10 metres the wrong way while dodging opponents trying to get back, and then he would scrub a 20-metre kick along the ground. That would be his normal contribution. That's how I remember him anyway.
Yeah, but can you do me a favour? Can you get your dad rolled in into an optometrist? I think he's got eye problems.
Nah.
Yeah,
You need to
I've
watch
been
the
saying it for
replay,
years.
mate. Particularly the 1990 grand final, kicking along the ground.
I always tell him that sometimes I swear his opinions. He's just trying to be different to get attention. I'm absolutely convinced by that.
I don't mind being different, but being ridiculous, come on.
I'm only motivated by being different. I mean, you know that. That's the only thing. That's the only reason I say anything, to be different.
All right, guys. All right. Let's get into the agenda, and this is going to be a little bit different because normally on these panel shows, I feel like we don't preview matches so much. We just more look towards the year and I guess what has just happened and those kind of things. But seeing as though we've got a big final coming up against the Crows and we don't really know what's going to happen after that, I feel like there's going to definitely be more sort of match preview. And I am pumped by the news today that the big American Mason Cox could potentially be back on Thursday night. We won't know until teams are named tomorrow, but it's sounding like he could possibly be there as a McStay replacement. There's talk that he might be a little bit sore, but even if McStay was fit, I'm all about Mason Cox and him playing this week. We'll start with you, Paige. If McStay was fit, would you go Cox or would you go McStay?
I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is what is the weather doing?
I think it's dry. It's
and
different.
yeah, and if it's going to be dry, well, I feel like this isn't a linear answer, and that's mostly because yes, McStay's been down on form, regardless of this injury apparently that he is carrying or the soreness that exists. Look, McStay has been having to do probably more minutes than he'd like in the ruck, and that has taken him away from his strengths and what he offers as up forward. And I think that's been a partial to his output over the last sort of 6 weeks while the magnets have been flipped around. And Cox, well, he hasn't played at senior level in quite a decent period. Yes, I know he's played VFL footy and he's actually strung together some impactful games there. I think the thing I like about Cox coming into this side is that, we know he can genuinely go into the ruck, and he can pull big minutes in the ruck as a, key ruckman, number one ruck if DC needs a rest or he's going to go up forward or if he floats down back, and that's an option. But I also like that once Cox gets forward of the footy, that's when he becomes a really big problem for oppositions. And it's not necessarily his forward craft per se. I guess if you're looking at it tactically, it's more the panic and the paranoia that he brings to opposition defenders, in that he has got such extraordinary reach, and he being 211 centimeters, he's very difficult to match up on. And if he does get that run and leap at the ball, he's marking it 9 times out of 10. And I don't mind it either because between Jordan Butts and Mark Keane, they're not a very tall key defensive unit.
Yeah.
They are the same height as Jeremy Howe and Braden Maynard. They are not out and out key defenders. And although they play, I guess, taller in a sense, if you're going to make them accountable, and last time we played Adelaide, Mark Keane sat on his own and was allowed to do whatever he wanted. If you're going to put a Mason Cox down into the forward line to just wander over towards Mark Keane, well then it's not a bad shout. But in saying that, so we played a +1 up at stoppage, and we played one behind the ball. So wherever they've got a spare, we've got one too. It's just about how we use it. But too often we found that ball going inside 50 was ending up in the arms of Mark Keane. So whether he plays more of a defensive forward option, I like it. Cox does give us a lot of versatility, regardless of some of his shortcomings. Guess the argument for me for McStay is that when he's up and about, he's a fantastic contested mark. He does kick goals, and he just outbodies opponents, and he's not afraid to go and crash packs as well. And we need that physicality too to give the guys at ground level a bit more to feast on. But it's kind of line ball. I am at this moment swaying towards the preference of Cox, I think, and that's just given the ruck conundrum that we find ourselves in, and really stretching Adelaide's backline.
All right, before we get to Serge's opinion, as someone that's probably watched a lot of him in the VFL over the last couple of months, I'll just chuck it to Oscar. Cox or McStay?
Yeah, well, even last night, I think I was talking to you and I was still like a bit doubtful about Cox, but I think even just the news today, seemed to suggest that McStay's is actually pretty sore. I think I'm leaning towards giving Cox a go. It's just been quite a few weeks now where the forward line's just been kind of frustrating. And I just think Cox being down there and we'll just sort of shore it up a little bit. And yeah, I'd love if Mark Keane can have much less of an impact than last time, and that could definitely help with that. So I think I am leaning towards giving Cox a go in there and seeing what he can make of it. And as you said, a better second mark. That could definitely help too. So I think I'm leaning towards getting Cox.
I'll put this to you and anyone else that wants to chime in as well. Would you bring Cox in for Howe and potentially play McStay back? I'm pretty sure Fly sort of ruled that out at his press conference today.
Sort of.
But if it was up to you, would that be a possible move?
Oh geez, it just feels like that's changing like multiple things. Like for a first final, suddenly getting Cox in there after he hadn't been in for a long time, and then try and McStay back. But they do have a pretty threatening tool forward line, really. So if we played both and then had that option to have McStay go back, and if it's not working, then sub a tool out or something at a certain point. But I'd lean towards probably not doing it though. I'd like getting Cox in there and then changing the dynamic by putting McStay back. I'm not sure if I'd do both of those things heading into a final.
We'll get into Jeremy Howe replacements a little bit later, but does anyone else have an opinion on that, on McStay maybe going back before we get back onto the Cox side, Jeff?
My only opinion would be McStay goes back on the bench or back out of the side.
So I guess I don't have to ask you who you would prefer out of Cox and McStay.
Well, look, I'd go for Cox every day of the week because he gives you a lot of the contests that we're not getting at the moment. And he does, if he can't mark it, which he's being out of form in terms of his marking, he does bring it to the ground. I take the point that Keane was spared, but seriously, Cox has played really well in the VFL, but that's a different standard. His marking and kicking goals, I like his rucking. And to me, he's a much better ruck option than McStay is every day of the week, and potentially only probably just a tad below him up the forward line. In terms of, if I was to go with Cox in the back line, I'd prefer him in the back line than McStay. I've seen him up here in Brisbane, and seriously, he started off as a backman, and that's why they put him forward.
Would you not rather Cox potentially be number one ruck and see Cameron push back a little bit more?
Yeah. And I think it was the Pies Nations guys this morning were saying that's probably the likely outcome. And look, McStay has got his good points, but he's so out of form that something's got to give. Now, whether they play him or not, I don't know. There's other options, by the way, but if on the question of Cox McStay, I'd go Cox.
Have you got an opinion, Mick?
Yeah, I do. I agree with all the guys, and they've articulated it really well as to the reasons. I'd go Cox. I just think that, like, I was an advocate, as you know, a few months ago for McStay going back, but I just think he's so terribly out of form. And I like the idea, A, he's the best tap ruckman at the club. This is Cox. B, he's more likely at the moment to take a mark or two up in the forward line as opposed to McStay. He's much more likely, I reckon. And I've been saying it for a week or two. What Serge just pointed out, that it's going to allow Cameron to go to head back and help out with the three-headed monster. So they're the main reasons. And I even Paige raised the concern of the weather. Even if it's a little bit wet, I'd still go for Cox over McStay. I'm not sure if McStay's offering us a whole of a lot. Even I don't think he's that much better in the wet at the moment than Cox would be. He's just in dreadful form. So, yeah.
I'm surprised that nobody's brought up the obvious, and that's his bloody finals record. This is Coxie. Like, if he starts off well, if he kicks an early goal, oh man, the swagger will be out.
Yeah,
The
he's a
confidence will be
confidence,
up.
isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
you're not wrong.
Even if it isn't a game like his prelim or his elimination final against the Eagles, I could just see him having a moment or two. A bit like the Granny in 2018. Like, wasn't his best game overall, but he still kicked 2 crucial goals. He just loves the big stage.
I mean, that's the thing about him. He's just a moments player, isn't he? And a player of his profile, you're not expecting a 4-quarter output the same way you would expect that of a Nick Dacos. Like, it's chalk and cheese, and it's more about his moments. And yes, he can take a towering mark that lifts or changes momentum. He can get that important goal that, again, gives us a balance shift in a game. He's a confidence player. He gives us momentum. He's weirdly a barometer for us for when he's playing. Like, if Mason Cox is playing well, we're generally up and about and really on top of the game. So, Fly's shown that he's going to pick guys that have got good records in finals, and that he can confidently back. And there's a certain kind of ticker of a bloke that he will pick in finals. And it wasn't too long ago that we were all sitting here pretty shocked and umming and ahhing and scratching our heads over John Noble's omission. Yeah. But it was for good reason, right? And in terms of the play that comes in, well, there's a reason they're coming in, and it's probably Will Parker later. But, it's a show of faith.
That's a really good segue, because I was about to say, if it's not McStay that's Jeremy Howe's replacement, who's it going to be? Is it going to be, like you just said, a Will Parker, who was obviously there? I'm on the same page as you. Or
has to be.
Is everyone else in agreement? Or do you guys want to see something maybe a little bit different? We're talking Charlie Dean or...
No, look,
Cardboard Charlie. No way. Honestly, I'd rather put a cardboard cutout of Charlie Dean on the football field, and at least he'd probably give us a deflection to advantage or something. I'd rather play a player down. I love him. Good on him. He's done well given all circumstances, but he's just not up to it in our best 23. That's cardboard Charlie.
That's the harshest critique I've ever heard, Paige. You'd rather play a player down.
What does he give
effectively
us?
But
that's it. Like, look, I hate whacking players. I'm not really in the business of doing it. But, he's a good, honest footballer at VFL level and at local level. He's been brought in to be a stopgap and a backup for the backup here at Collingwood. If Charlie Dean's the answer, we're asking the wrong question. It is simple as that.
You've inspired me, Paige. I'm hoping Hoskin Elliott makes a comeback so I could use your line. Write
it down, Mick.
No, it has to be Will Parker. He's so fierce and he's brave, and he plays bigger than what he is. He's also reached a trigger clause for a contract next year too. So
that's awesome.
That's exciting for him. But again, just it's a show of faith, and I think coaches know when they're looking at their group what they need, and it's not necessarily in the kicks and the handballs, but when it's his turn to go, you never see Will Parker shirk a contest. No. He'll fly, he'll run at it, he'll be on the bottom of a pack if he needs to be, and that's the kind of scrap player that you want. And also, you bring him into that side, that releases Josh Dacos, or that releases Dan Houston. You get them up into a wing where they're their strong attributes become, weaponized forward of centre and give us better looks going inside 50.
Touching on Will Parker, he really impressed me in that Adelaide game in terms of there was this moment, it was even the third or last quarter, he had the ball at half back and we were playing kind of safe and I felt like somebody needed to take a risk. He had the ball half back, just went in straight into the corridor and I was really impressed for a young player to do that in that kind of moments, to try and just create something that says a lot about him.
Yep. He could have been forgiven for bombing it down the line,
100% play it
and
safe.
he had the vision.
Yeah.
And when I'm going to pull the trigger here, and he clearly trusts his kicking.
He's a great kicker.
And his ability, and he pulled the trigger and it came off. We got out the back.
So, Paige, before we get to the opinion of the other three, how would you structure up then? So, obviously, with Howe out, Parker in, we're going a bit smaller. Am I right in saying that it would be Frampton on Philthorpe again? He's done the job a couple of times. Darcy Moore on Tex and Bruzzy on Fogarty?
Probably. I think that's the way you play it. Fogarty's like a 191, 192 forward. Yeah, he's a brute, but he's in terms of height, we're not giving anything away there. I think, the other two matchups, Darcy will roll off Tex, who runs in straight lines. These days. He's not as agile as he used to be. And he can come back and sort of double up for Philthorpe, who obviously is the number one target for them inside 50.
He's the one that can take it away from us.
Yeah, for sure. But also, it's I think Frampton's sort of since he's come back into the side post that calf injury, he's been really good. He's been quite served, and yes, he's going to have his moments because he does. He's that kind of player that has those momentary brain fades that drive us all mad. But I think the matchups there, those three, you've hit the nail on the head.
What about you, Oscar? What's your opinion on?
Yeah, well, yeah, unless obviously ruling Dean out, doing that, and then I mean, basically the only other option except Parker is probably to do like the Cox in essentially for Howe, and then sort of doing some switching there, but don't think I'm really doing that either. So I think we're going to have to back in Parker and then back in, Bruzzy and a bit of, defensive help from others throughout the night to deal with their three sort of tools down up there. But I think Parker in. I'm backing Parker in.
All right, Mick. Mick, you like being different. Please just give us something different so we can chat about it.
But even I can't be different. Yeah, look, I like Parker. I like his composure. How many games has he played? Half a dozen. He's always looked composed, and he's always done well, but he's always found himself quickly out of the side for one reason or another. The only other one I would have weighed up was Ed Allen. But no, I'd go for Parker because of his composure. As far as how he'd structure up, I agree 100% with what you said. Frampton on Philthorpe, Maynard on Fogarty, and Moore on Tex. And then you got, hopefully with Cox in, you've got Cameron, as I said before, going down there to help out aerially.
Yeah.
I'd go Parker.
Now, Serge, you've probably seen more of Will Parker than any of us. Are you on the same page?
I am, but I've got a different slant to it. Will Parker is the only guy in the VFL, one of the very few that I've seen that he's actually comfortable in the AFL. He has my total support. Now, if they don't put Cox in and they keep McStay, I'm thinking you go with Parker and maybe Markov.
Markov.
Oh,
and I'll tell you the Markov kick later.
You're what, sorry?
I'll tell you why Markov when we talk about our forward structure.
Oh, geez. Okay. Teaser there.
Interesting.
Ooh, I don't mind it.
Oh.
Experience.
Well, and pace. Now, he is the turnover king. And it's heart and mouse when even in the VFL level, he played reasonably well in that last game. There's certainly, but I'd have a different role for him. I'd keep Parker in the back line, and I'd probably I'd kick McStay out and just go with a small forward line. But we'll get to discuss that later.
I mean, I heard one of the boys from Pies Nation mentioned Markov, and I don't want to be disrespectful or anything, but I kind of hate it. I don't want to see Markov anywhere near this team. If
Well,
he's
he
there,
did it in that in the grand final, people. So he's got
well,
the
yeah, he was very very good that year. He was, but
Just think, but I think he was good in that in 2023 because there was so much consistency and continuity in his game. He was playing every week. He did have a
yeah.
specific role.
Yeah.
He was shoehorned into that high halfback, and he had his role. He didn't go outside of his lane, and he stayed in it, and he stayed in there. Well, I think he came in round 7, 2023, and then didn't leave the team at all that year. So, I mean, I think it's the contrast and is too like it's too wide now in
Mm.
terms of I don't know if I'd be bringing him in.
I'm
But I
not
can.
putting
But
him
you
in
know what? It's the
defence.
same. It's the
I
same.
still
It's
haven't
the
recovered
same
from the Freo
thing for
game.
Will Parker too.
Yeah.
So
All
I
right.
think either way, it's a continuity.
Right. Well, we'll definitely touch on Markov again a little bit later. But while we're talking about the back line, I want to bring up a name. You guys might have heard of him. He's played a couple of games. Scott Pendlebury. Now, Michael and I have talked a lot about Pendles playing behind the ball in the last couple of episodes. We loved what we saw against the D's. Oscar, you're nodding. Is
Yeah.
that a role that you'd like to see him stay in?
I'd honestly like. I thought coming into this season he was going to play a bit more at halfback compared to midfield than what he has in the end. But I just love the way in that fourth quarter he just sort of like controlled the game from the back line. He just feels so comfortable with the ball in his hands, going off the halfback flank. He does pull off those like kicks into the corridor quite a bit,
Yeah.
but which is great. And we just want good ball users back there. But you also notice that he just picks the right option. Like he's not scared to go out the side as well, out towards the wing like that. He's fine with that too. Just whatever's the smart decision. But you just need good decision makers back there. And I just love the way. I just feel like when you're under pressure at the end of like a big game and it's in your defense a bit, you just need like those wise heads with the ball in hand as much as possible back there. So yeah, I'm hoping Pendles actually spends a bit of time back there.
When you say a bit of time, how much time? Would you like to still see him in the midfield, or would you like him, especially with someone like Howe out? I know he's not the same kind of player as Howe,
Yeah.
but he's that experienced, cool head. Would you like to see him down there most of the game? Because we've got guys like, would you play, like, for example, Josh Dacos more in the midfield and have Pendles down back?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't honestly. I wouldn't mind seeing Pendles just at least start the game. The very start of the game in the midfield, try and set the tone there early. But honestly, I reckon, especially if it's close, I'd like to actually see probably the majority of the second half back there. I think as the game goes on, it's even more important to have him back a bit more. But I'd actually like to see him in the midfield to start with. Just keep things fairly normal, sort of him midfield, Josh Dacos back. But we've seen that Josh can be amazing in the midfield.
Yeah.
So probably after half time, just actually make that switch a
Game
bit more.
dependent, whatever.
Yeah, so I'd almost say still about 30% midfield for Pendles, 30 to 40%. But honestly, I reckon over half the game, I wouldn't mind seeing him back. Yeah.
What do you reckon, Serge?
He played really well there in patches. My issue, and I think this happened, not sure if it was last year or the year before, or it may have been even in 22, he was found out in terms of pace when he was manned up. But my memory of the Melbourne game was he was pretty much running without an opponent. Is my recollection. So in those instances, yeah. But if Adelaide's not going to let him get away with that, but yeah, I'd like to see him in the middle. This game's going to be won in the centre. If we win the centre clearances and our goal disposed, anyway, we'll discuss that later. But yeah, he could go there in need if we're absolutely desperate. But I'd rather see him in a more attacking role up in the middle.
Interesting. So one apiece. Paige, what do you reckon? Are you on Oscar's side or Serge's?
Oh, I don't know. You could flip a coin here, I reckon. I reckon you could. I reckon you could flip a coin. Michael, what do you think?
Well, Oscar took the words out of my mouth. I think he's spot on. The previous Adelaide game, Pendles was basically best on ground in the first quarter and was responsible for our lead at quarter time, playing centre or playing in the middle. So, yeah, I go along with Oscar, set the game up, and if need be, push him back later to control it. Like Dermot and I have said in the last couple of weeks, the calming influence down there about how. So start him in the centre, hopefully set the game up, and if need be in the second half, calm things down in the back line.
I do think we showed our hand in that Melbourne game.
Mm.
I
100%.
really, I saw it and I saw it when it happens once, you go, oh, okay. And you see it twice and you go, all right. And then when it happens 3 or more times, it becomes a pattern and it becomes this is part of a game plan and this is part of a scenario that we pull the trigger on and this is what happens. And you could even see, look, I might be a bit sneaky here, but I've got vision of behind the goals, which only sort of broadcast and coaches get to see. It's not public available. And you can see exactly what is happening in terms of players fanning out left, fanning out right, dummy leads into space, and then having someone whip around from, say, right side or left side. Actually, it's like, if for anyone that watches NFL, it's like running a route. And it was this dummy route that happened that zigged and zagged and then went up the middle. And a couple of times when it got up out of the back, straight through the middle, and then you had the guys fanning right into the right spots, the release handballs, and it was just like an unstoppable wave, and it was a goal. And you can see it completely crafted to perfection in what they're trying to do. And so I think in moments where we have to pull the trigger or we might need to, we're not throwing caution to the wind. We're just going to go down swinging. If we get ourselves in the position, maybe that's what's going to happen. But I think when that...
Got a question for you. When you say we showed our hand, do you reckon the circumstances of the game with Melbourne pushing us forced us to show...
Absolutely.
Which we would have rather to have kept to a fine.
Yep. But you saw that also, was it the week earlier in how, was it the week earlier against Adelaide in how we moved Will Parker in and how we shifted the magnets and that released Houston up onto the wing and what that was able to prove. And yeah, you've got to also, it's a fine line because from a coaching perspective, you have these game plans or action points that you pull a lever on. And what's all well and good to do that in a training circumstance, you can never replicate real game feeling and intensity. And you have to go out and implement those things in a game. And yeah, those last sort of couple of weeks in an AFL season, every coach of a team that is in finals contention or has buried a spot in finals are tweaking things, are trying things subtly and trying to do it in a way that doesn't fully show a hand. So Adelaide would be well versed in this is what Collingwood will do if the game gets to this point. And that's just you want your best ball users and decision makers with the ball in hand at all times, right? Like that's especially at those clutch moments. But one thing people aren't speaking enough about is that how Scott Pendlebury, in his 100 years of wisdom, went and stepped Cozzy Pickett coming off the back line. We're not talking about that enough. That is one guy I would never recommend trying to step because with all due respect to Cozzy, he is terrific. And with all due respect to Pendles, he's not quick. So to have that, it just tells you the confidence and the firmity he plays with.
Did anyone see that ridiculous comment from Tom Rockcliffe about Pendles?
It was pretty
Pretty
rotten.
No, what
just said the game's gone past Scott Pendlebury. He doesn't fit Collingwood's system anymore because the style of play that we play with his legs literally aren't quick enough, and therefore he lets us down in transition. And he's not quick enough to play our game style. So he actually thinks that Pendlebury's holding Collingwood back.
He said this after the Melbourne game too, after that last quarter.
Which is absolutely wild.
Just one question. Who's Tom Rockcliffe? How many premierships has he played in?
God.
Would have thought he would have learned from Mike Sheehan all those years ago. Don't write him off.
As someone said to me, you might be able to do a sub 10 100-metre sprint, but I reckon you could kick 100 metres faster than you could run it.
Yeah.
And that's where Pendles comes in.
Hey, tell me, while we're talking about Pendlebury, I've just got a question for everybody. It's something that hasn't been explored enough. And the Rant actually looked at it a few months ago. They were theorising about how players just sag off Pendlebury. Like when he's got the ball, he doesn't get tackled. Opposition players tend to sag off him. And their theory, which is as good a theory as I've heard, is Pendlebury always looks like he's about to dispose of the ball, about to handball. So the opposition are thinking, well, we have to guard space here, but he's about to release it, and he uses that extra couple of seconds in order to then pick out an option. So that's the best I've ever heard as to why they.
Well, that's fact. The times he gets caught is when the tackler just decides, I don't care if he gets rid of it, I'm going to tackle him.
Tackle him, yeah.
Yeah, he feigns a lot, doesn't he? And I think as a midfielder, it's less about what the action is supposed to be, but what it actually, and it's more about what it could be. So if he looks like he's got an option right, then naturally, for anyone that's played in the midfield knows that you want to kind of lean that way to try and close off. You're predicting. So you get into, when you're in defensive transition as a midfielder, you get into a mindset of you're actually trying to close that space, or you're going to try and stop that outlet. And so you feign that way that his body language is insisting he's going to go. But that's the thing about Pendlebury, is he's always had that kind of, although if you think of traditionally wherever your hips are facing is where the ball's going to end up. And the amount of times where you corkscrew out of something, or he'll put a step on and open up an entire other angle, and someone else gets released through that lane, is it's quite wild. And still, after 21 years in the system, I think it is, he's still fooling people every week.
Yeah, well, that's a better explanation than the Rant, because that's spot on. As a player in the midfield, you try and block, you try and go to anticipate where the ball's going to go so you can block it. And that's what happens with Pendles.
And the other thing too is you also have, majority of the time, is your general midfielder, the intercepts occur because they've already basically telegraphed where it's going. You watch a game of football, it doesn't matter who you watch, the intercept occurs because the opposition player's been able to read the body language and anticipated that ball is going to end up there. So you see it a lot in games, but you do have some players that are able to change lanes or degrees of angles so quickly that are just special type of players that make it that much harder for them to be tackled or intercept.
You're actually wired that way. That's why a lot of players don't tackle him.
Bontempelli's the same.
Yeah.
Well, McCluggage from Brisbane's another one.
Yep.
Similar type, yeah.
Rightio. Well, we could talk about Pendles all night, I'm sure, but I want to go back to Jeremy Howe and just sort of fast forward a few weeks. Now, I was meant to ask this before. If Jez is fit for a prelim or a grand final, what the hell do we do? Do we pick him? We'll start with you, Oscar. It's been a while since we've heard from you.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Geez, it's been a while since he's played like a full game now, isn't it?
A long time.
I think it almost might depend on the opponent a bit as well. If they've got that like extra tool, or they just seem extra threatening in the forward line. geez, you'd be tempted. I mean, I love Jeremy Howe. I'd probably say as long as he got through training really well that week and we just knew he was ready to go, I'd probably do it. I'd probably actually pick him. Because I don't know, you only get to the end of the final when you've lost by, 8 points or something. You're just like, oh, this guy could have just had such a good impact today. I think sometimes you just got to roll the dice a bit in finals to a certain degree. I mean, a midfielder that's not as well conditioned, you're probably more worried about.
Yeah.
But more of a sort of key defender type player, medium sort of defender. I just think you'd probably take the risk. I mean, a bit of it's been unlucky with Howe as well. Obviously, the last injury a little bit more concerning, perhaps, but even so, I'm still picking him. I reckon if he's like fit going into a prelim final.
Could you potentially, let's just say Parker comes in for him as we all expect, and he's played well. He plays well against Adelaide. Howe's fit for a prelim. Could you even just have Parker as your sub, ready to go for if something happens to Howie?
Yeah, look, yeah, you might do that. Not that you want to go in expecting something to
Yeah.
happen, but I think you probably have a little bit of insurance there, and have someone that can actually come in and play a role in the back line. But but I think as long as Howe looks really good on the track leading up to the final, like the prelim final or whatever it is, I reckon I'm going in. I think like the downside of not doing it could be far worse in a way.
What do you reckon, Mick?
The short answer is yes, because I would trust Howe to make the right call, being a very experienced player. But having said that, I'm still haunted to this day from the 2011 grand final with Reid and Jolly, having taken them both. So that type of scenario. But but I would trust Howe with his wealth of experience to make the right decision. He's such a vital player.
I guess the difference is with that 2011 grand final is we went in with multiple guys that were underdone. If the rest of the team is fit and firing, then we could potentially take that risk. What do you reckon, Serge?
I'll just refer to my notes. Yes. You're always going with your best team. If he's declared fit, there's no excuses.
Paige?
Yeah, it's unanimous, isn't it? I think thing is with Howe too, he's a leader. He's just an experienced head. He's a very good organizer of that back line, but he's also a glue guy for us. I feel like he gives everyone this lift. He's this real sort of spiritual leader. I feel like he's become over the last sort of handful of years, and I just, when he went down in those sort of opening minutes against Hawthorn, it just felt like the life got sucked out of the game because he's just so appreciated by his teammates and he's so revered by them too, and what he gives us. And again, just a versatile guy. How many times have we seen Fly pull the trigger where he goes forward? And he gives us that look too. So we're a better back line with him in it. But to Oscar's point, like you if it is let's say it's a prelim that he does come back for, and he's had all this conditioning and he's declared fit, cherry ripe, ready to go. Your heart's in your mouth a little bit potentially because he hasn't gotten through games recently and he has had when you look at probably the last 10 weeks, how much time off has he had?
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think you leave someone of that much experience, game impact and morale that he brings to the team, and maybe you do have that insurance sitting on the bench, not that you want to sort of go in with that front of mind. But if it is a Will Parker or if it is a Hoskin Elliott, Mick, who is it that can actually flick the magnet around and be versatile enough should he go down or someone else that you have full faith in? The sub role's not talked about enough in terms of what it demands of a player and how it contributes to the 22. So, it's definitely a watch, but gut feel is you have to go with him. And he would call himself out if he wasn't fit or if he thought like he couldn't do it either. 100%. He's that kind of guy. He is so club before self every time, and demands it of others. And if he found himself in that position, he would put his hand up. I have no doubt about it.
Well, same question, but
Hold on, hold on. What's your answer?
oh yeah, I'll play him.
Yep. Right.
But the same question, but let's talk a little bit about Bobby Hill. If Bobby is
Ooh.
fit for a prelim or grand final, I really want to start with Mick because I know he's got some strong opinions, but yeah, just yeah, I'm a little bit nervous
Uh,
after our phone conversation earlier today and what you said about Bobby not being there. But
Look, my frustration spilled over a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. Um, it's very frustrating. Look, I'm a fairly straightforward bloke. I just think, and I've said it a few times, big money, big sacrifices. You put your hand out for the big money, you get the job done. You put your emotions aside, and you just get the job done. I think it's bordering on the selfish. And I do concede we're outside the club, so we're only hearing things from the media and from speculation. I understand all that, but just get to work, Bobby. But I think it might have gone too long now.
so are you putting a line through him, Mick?
Well, he missed another training session today.
Because it was looking good before then, wasn't it?
Yeah,
He was at the last three.
look,
I did hear he was training inside today. He wasn't out on the track.
Yeah, I did
I'll
see
put
you
that out
say
there.
that in
Yeah,
the group chat, but
I
then
was
Fly
told that he
said
was
that he was
inside.
away for family reasons,
yeah.
whether that's true or
Well,
not.
McRae had a press conference today in which he said he was away for family reasons. So apparently he wasn't at the club, and he said he's confident he'll be back tomorrow. I originally thought, okay, he's not going to play this week, but I thought if he gets another week into him next week, and we happen to win, and then he has 2 weeks, so then he's got a bank of 3 weeks, he could come back for the prelim. But he's missed another session. It's looking really doubtful.
If he doesn't miss another one, if that was the last one he's
Uh,
missed, does he play in a prelim?
if
Yes
he,
or no?
oh yeah, look. I would play him. I would take the chance and play him because he's not a midfielder. He's a forward pocket. He's not going to be running his 12, 15 kilometres. We could potentially even use him as a sub. But if he got through another couple of weeks of training and we were there for a prelim, yeah, I'd play him. But I'm just like a lot of Collingwood supporters. I'm just really frustrated with him.
What do you reckon, Paige?
Oh God, frustration doesn't even begin to cut it. I think. I think the saga's just gone on for so long, and there's so many gaps in what really is happening. Like we're aware there's a breakdown of his relationship, and we're aware that his kids are interstate. But and everyone will have their opinion on what they think the best way of managing that is, but I think it's frustrating that, and selfishly, I'm speaking as a supporter here. I have no skin in the game whatsoever. It feels like it has become a real distraction for the footy club. It feels like it has really derailed a lot of our momentum because he is a momentum guy in our team. And he is the difference between us winning and losing games. And it's not necessarily about how many goals every week that he kicks. Like we know he's a prolific score assist player. We also know that the way he plays that chaotic ambush style as a small forward that he chases, he pounces, he leaps, he's buzzing around. Again, similar type to Cox in the sense where he creates paranoia, but for a completely different reason. One's above sea level and one's below sea level. And in this instance, it's frustrating because you want him out there and come back to the footy club, lean into the four walls here, and we'll wrap our arms around you if you buy into that. Is it also rewarding bad behaviour? I don't know. I also think there's a massive trust issue here. I think everyone at Collingwood wants Bobby to play, but I think that there might be a bigger issue here in the sense that the trust there of Bobby to be applying himself, to be training at capacity, to be turning up to these, sessions that aren't up for, can I have a day off here or there, when there's been weeks of absence. I understand there's family things and all that sort of stuff too, but the coaches would be asking themselves, can we trust him? Is he fit enough? Can he get through a game? Is he mentally there? Like, is he emotionally ready to take on 4 quarters of high pressure, all consuming football? And it's more than just his ability to kick goals and run around on the ground. I think it's his ability to engage and be present and impact in ways that aren't necessarily about the kicks and the handballs. But, I would like to think that they are saying to him, we're going to leave the door open for you in a prelim, the same way we're leaving the door open for Howie in a prelim. It's up to him. If he comes in and he works his ass off and he shows that this is what I want and this is what I want to do, and he buys into everything that we're trying to achieve here, it'd be devastating to go to a grand final this year and our Norm Smith medalist from 2 years ago not be part of that team because of circumstances and outside bullshit.
Yeah.
I that would be that would be gutting as a supporter.
I think you summed that up perfectly. What do you reckon, Oscar?
Yeah, I don't have that much more to add on top of what Paige said there, but look, I don't know. I think it's a pretty frustrating situation. I mean, a lot of sports people that have had like personal troubles and things in the past have kind of said that being at the club is kind of quite a helpful thing a lot of the time. I'm not saying for serious personal things you might not need a bit of space, a bit of time away, but in general, players always come out and say, this is like the most supportive place you can really get in the 4 walls of a footy club, and he's sort of he's obviously been really frustrating. I don't know. I'm definitely less certain with this than the Howe situation. Like, I mean, obviously they're very different situations, but like Howe, I'm just getting in there. Hill, I don't know. I just think teammates would be quite frustrated with him. Does that play into it a bit, and do we need any sort of distraction like that in a final? So I don't know. I am interested to see how we go against Adelaide though, and because it's a funny thing, like professional sport, you are like sometimes you just sort of put aside issues if you think the team really needs this on-field boost potentially. So obviously I'm hoping we're awesome against the Crows, but if it's sort of not looking so good and we feel like we need that spark and Bobby puts in a couple of really good weeks, geez, it would be tempting to pick him as well. But honestly, I'd almost lean towards just not going in.
Putting a line through. Yeah.
That'd probably be my preference at this stage.
What do you reckon, Serge?
Look, I think you guys said it pretty well, and as did Paige. And Paige actually articulated very, very well. And it's something that credit to Paige, because as much as the supporter in me, and I'm like Michael, like your first job is to play, but people handle these different emotions or problems in different ways. And if I look back, the key issue for me is what Paige said, is the trust. I haven't looked at the stats, and I'm sort of kicking myself now, but I'd probably go back and have a look at Hill this year. And to me, I think he checked out quite a while ago in terms of his performances. And that's just the way he's wired. Everyone's different. So as much as I'd love to say, there's other guys that Michael and I could name that have had similar type issues that leave it at the door and then go play football, because that's the way that's their dealing mechanism. I don't think he's wired that way. And from that perspective, what Paige said is spot on. From a club view, we can pick you, but if you can't give your best out there, then we're a player down. Okay. Now, the counter argument to that is he only needs 5 minutes and he could kick you 2 goals and win you the game, right? But that's the risk. And are you rewarding good behaviour? I don't know. It is a hard one, and I agree it's a distraction, and could have contributed to why we are where we are.
I think it says as well, and is where we're putting too much emphasis on one player to change the spate of a game. And although Bobby, yes, he can do that, is that sending the right message to the playing group that you can effectively get away with this? Now, obviously, all due respect to Bobby and his circumstances and whatnot, I guess if you're reading it black and white, it's significant time away from the football club, and in a campaign as well, where we've known that the fitness and conditioning and strength staff have been building these players up to get to a point where they're hitting their straps in that first week of finals. If he's missed that period as well, then we're also talking about his conditioning to get through potentially a style of game that we are prepping ourselves to play in finals that he's actually not going to be able to execute against. So there's that element of it as well.
And Paige, just to back you up, everything's black and white.
Everything's black and white, mate, always. But it's so hard. I mean, what Bobby gives us is tremendous. He's not a four-quarter player, but you're not asking him to be that as a small forward.
Look, I guess, and just to back you up, Paige, because well put, and you've even, there's stuff that you've said there that I wouldn't have even imagined, but a good perspective. But we're only going to find this out at the end of the season as to how it's the same. I'm not going to say it's going to be the same situation as 2011, where the Mick Malthouse distraction around the coaching. You said this, that it is a distraction, and you actually
It's a
spot
massive
on.
distraction. It is a huge distraction.
Yeah. And we're not going to know how massive it is until the end of the season.
And what's disappointing as well is when you have, there's all the media and the football world have to coexist, right? It is what it is. But when you hear of reports of Brad Hill contacting Collingwood and raising concerns, I think naturally, no matter whether you barrack for Collingwood or you're an opposition supporter, you instantly go, "Oh, that's not good. That's not good." Now you can hypothesize on what that is that he's up to is no good, and it could be an array of things. But if family are contacting a football club to say, "Hey, help," it doesn't read well in anyone's language. And I think, like I said, I think now it's less about his ability and his fitness, and it's probably more about the trust between the playing group, the coaches who are selecting him in the match committee, and Bobby. And you've got this period potentially to prove to us that you can come in and play your role and help us on our quest for a flag. I hope we don't get to the end of September and go, Bobby Hill, what a loss. What a colossal stuff up that was for our campaign. Because that will be the finger point that everyone goes to, and I guarantee you, everyone will point to Bobby and say that's what cost us, and that's not really fair because it's never on one guy. It's never on one guy. It's a systems-based team, and it takes 23 guys out there to execute every week. But I would hate him to go from hero to pariah like that. That would be devastating for him. So hopefully it turns itself around, and I guess watch this space. It'll be even more interesting if we have to play in a semi-final the following week.
Yeah.
And the hand's really forced to go with it or roll the dice or not.
Yeah. Rightio, we'll move on. I'm interested in the midfield mix because obviously clearances have been a huge issue for us in, probably about 3-4 months now. Our kicking inside 50, especially in the last 6 weeks, we're just bombing it in. We're not really lowering our eyes. It's been extremely frustrating for a team that has so many stars in there. We know the names that will roll out in September: Nick Dacos, Geordie DeGoey, and we'll touch on him a little bit later. Potentially Pendles if he is splitting his role still between midfield and the back line. But there's a few different names that I'm kind of interested in. And they're guys that have spent a little bit of time in there throughout the year. They've all probably played their best football there, but they've actually sort of moved away from that position. And I speak of Still Sidebottom. His first 10 weeks of the season, just as an inside mid, just unbelievable. Jack Crisp, who's played a lot of the year most of the year on the wing. We all know his best position is inside mid. We saw it in that game against Freo in WA. Clearly best on ground. Hasn't really had much of a chance other than that game. But we're seeing, especially in finals, he's been there, he's done that. He's an absolute star in that role. And of course, Josh Dacos being the other one. We saw what he was capable of in that last quarter against Gold Coast. Exactly what kind of mix do you want? Also, keep in mind Ned Long can't really play anywhere else, so he will be a part of that mix. Is it simply Nick, Geordie, Longy, and maybe a couple of those guys? And if so, which guys? And we'll start with you, Oscar.
Yeah. Well, look, I think Nick is obviously, we'll see what his ankle's like and stuff.
Well, that's a
first,
good point as well. We haven't even brought that up.
See what that's like. I do love him forward of the footy a bit as well, and playing off half forward, he can do that too. But geez, we just sort of need his class sort of going inside 50. He's one of the guys that I do kind of back to.
Nick's there. Yeah,
inside 50. So I'm just obviously going him. And then Long, you have to do that. I wouldn't be surprised if his time on ground sort of low at times, depending on how we're going and whether we think we need him in there a lot. But and then side bottom, as I said, I definitely want Pendles in there to, at least to start with, just see how that's going, and hopefully maybe be able to have him off half back a bit towards the end. And then side bottom as well. And look, I reckon if we can almost do a bit of a switch of like Pendle's back, Josh Dacos, midfield, because I would actually love to see Josh in there a bit more. That would be great because his skills obviously awesome. Oh yeah,
Geordie.
I did almost leave him out, but no, Geordie in there a lot as well. I love the way he's sort of building up.
So would you be happy more to just rotate these guys, or would you want a tighter mix? Because you've named a lot of guys there. So.
I'm not going a really tight mix. Okay. I don't think. I wouldn't mind Nick starting forward of centre a bit. Geordie forward of centre a bit, and then Long, I just suspect if he's going awesome, then great. But I mean, he's the sort of guy that plays sort of lowish time on ground anyway. So that sort of opens up a bit of extra time there. But I'm honestly running at about a 5-man rotation there at least. I don't think Crisp's going to get in there very much. I love Crisp forward of centre a bit though, like on the wing, but. Drifting forward.
He's kicked some big goals in big finals.
He's kicked some really big goals. I want him inside 50 a bit, or in positions where he can kick running goals and things, because I actually love him in front of goal a bit. So, but I just don't think he's really going to be playing pure midfield. But primarily like Nick, Geordie,
the usual.
So
side bottom is someone you want to see.
I want to see him in there a bit, and then mixture of like Pendles and Josh, depending on time of game and whether we think they're better suited in the midfield or defence. So yeah, I've named a few there, but I'm not going like a really tight midfield.
Yeah,
and I think it depends on opposition and things as well. So yeah,
it's been a while since we've heard from you, Mick. What's your opinion?
Well, again, I kind of agree in a fair bit with Oscar. I think he raises some good points. I'd rotate a few through there. One guy I don't think he did mention was De Goey. Did you mention De Goey?
Yeah, I did. I was sort of prompted by Dermot a little bit, but no, I'm definitely having him in there a fair bit. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't one going back a few weeks that we would have thought we would have been considering for a full-time mid role. Given his lack of preparation, we were always saying, oh yeah, he'd probably be 80% forward, maybe a bit of a run in the midfield, but his fitness has really been a bit of a surprise. So yeah, I'd like to see Nick utilised in space. Like his greatest weapon is his kicking when he's got time and space. So I'd like to see them manufacture him in time and space as much as possible. So him not being the hit two guy when they're in the centre, maybe even using him sometimes off half back a little bit throughout the game. But so Geordie, maybe a McCreary, a couple of centre bounces.
Yeah, Bo. Yeah.
Yeah. But Oscar's pretty much covered most of it. Yeah, so De Goey in there, Nick, get him into time and space as much as possible. And I know what you're saying about Crisp as well. How many of those goals has he kicked from 50, set shots from 50 or running through 50, often on his wrong side?
The most underrated finals performer in the last decade.
So, yeah, that'd be my... have about five or so guys you can move through there. Bit of guys who are a bit explosive, like DeGoey, like McCreary, in there. Yep.
What do you reckon, Serge?
Go first cab off the rank at the centre bounce with Cox rucking, DeGoey, Crisp, and Sidebottom. Next up would be Pendles, Nick or Josh, and Long. And then you could rotate guys like McCreary, Josh, and maybe, depending on, I'd like to see Perryman have a run through there, depending on how things are going. He's a strong-bodied midfield. Well, can play midfield. I'd like to see. He has played there a couple of games, but I don't think he's been okay. But there's another option.
Sorry,
You could even throw Parker.
Sorry to interrupt. So your first choice midfield at the first centre bounce on Thursday night will be DeGoey, Crisp, and Sidebottom?
To DeGoey, to Crisp, to Sidebottom, to kicking beautifully to Elliott on the lead, kicks a goal.
I really like that. It's just different, but I really like that because all year I've been really wondering why we moved Sidebottom back to a wing, because Sidebottom, obviously last year he kind of looked like he was on his last legs playing that wing role. Then we pushed him into an inside midfield role in the first 10 rounds this year. It looked amazing. Then pushed him out again, and he sort of slowed down. So you definitely want to see him back in there?
Well, look, this all depends on our forward structure, right? Because when we get to the forward line, I've got, I think after spending all weekend looking at these elimination games, our finals and some footy, particularly 2018, there's another option for DeGoey.
Okay, another teaser.
Sorry, can I ask a quick question of Serge? You're not starting Nick in the centre. Where are you playing him when he's not in the centre?
Either at, I'd put him like the All-Australian team on the bench because he's no good. Forward.
Forward?
Yeah.
Right.
Or half-back. It depends what who you're going to put out in the wings.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting, yeah.
Are we still all... Do we like Dan Houston on the wing? Sorry,
Yes.
we do. Yeah,
Categorically, yes.
Yeah. Don't want him in the D50 Paige.
I don't think it's necessarily about him not being able to impact in D50. It's not. I don't even have that as a consideration. For me, it's just that his piercing kick is so fertile for us whenever we go inside 50. It hits a target. Anytime he launches at goal from 50 and beyond, he kicks it.
Yeah. No, I 100%
and it's a sure thing every single time. I just
100%.
think at the moment, like you want to weaponize these guys where their attributes give us so much. Like we attack off D50 and we've got Isaac Quaynor on one flank and we've got Josh Dacos on another back flank, both who propel us forward out of D50. Obviously, Maynard can also come up and squeeze and be that option, whether it's the release kick or whether it's in the chain ball hand out of D50 transition to open up at the back. I just think when Houston gets some time and some space, he makes decisions quickly and he finesses the ball. I mean, the way he feathers it into spots that just look, it's very Nick Dacos. Both of them are absolute exceptional kicks of the footy. And they both give you something different. And I just think for Houston, squeezing him up is so much more beneficial. Even him just getting into those chains going forward, whether it's a handball here, in the middle, I don't mind. And you know what? I really
as a receiving, like an outside mid.
Outside, yeah. I honestly, Serge, it would not surprise me one bit if he ended up at a centre bounce at some point on a Thursday night. It would not surprise me at all. There's always something you've got up your sleeve. And I wouldn't be surprised if we were just sort of keeping that one, to ourselves to release it. But I think having him more attacking is where he made a name for himself at Port Adelaide and became a dual All-Australian. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. Like I said before, the way we've been kicking it inside 50, the more we can get the ball into Houston's hands and Nick's hands, and they're the ones kicking it in, the better.
Sorry,
But before we get to Paige's opinion on the midfield mix, it looks like Michael wants to say something.
I want to, Paige, all this talk of squeeze and release that you've been going on about, I'm trying to forget I need a toilet break, and you make all right. So I have to go.
Stop drinking water.
I had this huge banana smooth, a rookie mistake. So you guys keep on talking. I'll be back in a minute.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, go away. Hey.
Hey guys, whilst he's away, can we do a breaking news and tell him that Will Hoskin-Elliott has been he's in the team?
He's on to you. He's
That'll
not that
send him
silly.
back to the toilet.
Jesus. Paige, midfield mix for you.
Look, I think it's for me, you want your influential players at CBA. So I think in terms of that centre bounce, you have Nick Dacos, you have Scott Pendlebury, and you have Ned Long, and they all give you something different. And I think that's what it will start as. And obviously
So
there'll be
not
other
the
guys.
Surely De Goey over Long. No?
I think you bring De Goey on. I think you actually roll him in through. I don't think you start him at it's so hard.
It looked like he was just about close to his best in that Melbourne game. He's peaking at the right time. This is his time.
But is it because
he's missed the September?
But he didn't start at centre bounce
Against
Melbourne. He didn't. I think he started. He came in. He came in the second quarter. He started to come in as centre bounce, and that's when we started winning clearance. So I think I think just to start with, because what it gives you authority in Pendlebury and the stability there in Pendlebury. It gives you like you have that dynamic burst of Nick Dacos and the creativity in Nick Dacos, and then you have your defensive sweeper sort of type set up in Long, who is going to cause a stop if the ball goes the wrong way for us at centre bounce, and he's either going to win the ball or he's going to neutralise the ball and force another stoppage, and then we have everyone kind of come into the forward a lot more. So I think you eventually bring De Goey in. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if we started him there, but I would probably roll with a known trio of those guys first.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just looking at his CBAs now, and his first quarter was a little bit down compared to his last 3 quarters of that Melbourne game. So, yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me if they just give him, run him into the game, literally warm him up, get a feel for the game, get the touch early, lay a few tackles, absorb a few tackles, be involved in those chains of play. And then then that's your next layer. And we tend to play, games of footy in layers of midfield that we then bring in and who we fold into the contest.
Yeah. All right. I can't wait any longer. Let's talk about the forwards and Serge. Just go for it, mate. Markov, De Goey, you've all these teasers. We need to know. We're all desperate.
Okay, so and this is an original, and I'd like to. I think some of this was a mixture of listening to the rant, the Pies Nation boys, some of your work, Michael and Dermot, but also spending a whole weekend watching Collingwood in 2018, because your that fantastic clip that you did triggered my imagination. So I started looking at some games, right? Now, one of the things I noticed, and Paige, you can chime in here, was that the Collingwood 2018 style of game was the swarm and the swoop, and they had a very small forward line. and it was very open. So you had guys like Elliott, De Goey kicking goals. You had Cox there as the bigger guy that would bring the ball down and every once in a while take marks. But you had Josh Thomas, Will Hoskin Elliott. So all these small to mediums that were kicking goals. So based on that, and this is just out there, I just thought you could go with a small forward line of with Elliot, De Goey, Markov as a speedy defensive forward. Who else have we got? You could have a Cox there, and who else plays in our forward?
My check and
Oh,
Membry.
Check. Yep, you keep my check and
Membry.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. You didn't seem very certain by
Well,
Membry.
I'm thinking of maybe going an extra small, but I think I've run out of. You could put a Nick Dacos there as well.
You play Nick
So-
Dacos out of the square. You play De Goey out of
Yeah.
the square, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, yeah. Or Elliot, depending if De Goey goes in the middle, if you need him. But the idea is, which we haven't been doing, is you've got to our disposal efficiency has to be, particularly going into our inside 50, has to be really good, and you're kicking into space where you've got a forward leading onto the ball, and it's 1-on-1. That's how we used to do, and as soon as the ball drops, everyone swarms in. You got your sorry, I didn't mention McCreary. You should be up there.
Yeah.
You got McCreary, all
Schultz.
these
Did you
guys.
say Schultz?
Shooter.
Yeah,
Yep.
Shooter. They're all going in there collecting the balls that spill, and hopefully, that's one option. You could go, which means that Membry would probably not be. Maybe, Membry wouldn't be in the side, or he'd be in on interchange. That's one way, or you could go the way that we've been going and put Cox in there, and But again, to me, this game's going to be won in the middle, and how we win those centre clearances, how we dispose of the ball. Either giving it to Dacos or Houston, as Paige mentioned before, and the delivery has to be spot on. We can't go wasting it and putting it up in the air unless it's the Cox where he can bring it down. So that's where I had those guys, and that's why I thought, you could have a negative top forward in Oleg Markov with a bit of pace that could create a bit of chaos, pressure. That was more along the lines if McCreary hadn't got up. But McCreary and Schultz, they do that to a T. So that's the way. That's one option in terms of how you could structure it.
I remember a couple of years ago, Serge, I said
You're back. How was it?
I'm back.
I hope you washed your hands.
Because I knew that you were going to talk about your forward structure, and I thought, I'm not going to make it if I have to sit through his forward structure. I'm just not going to make it that far. I had
Will Hoskin Elliott as our full forward.
Well, all jokes aside, he could fit that sort of structure that you're talking about, though, Serge.
Look, normally, and I'm a fan. I will admit, I'm on my. His body appears to have given up on him.
Okay.
Can I just set the record straight with Oscar Elliott? Okay, I joke about him a fair bit. All I've ever said is I think we've got better. He's not a terrible player. He's kind of somewhere in like the 23 to 27 range on the list. But I've always thought we had better options. But I remember saying that you talked about Dacos in the forward line. I remember saying to Dermot a couple of years ago that imagine if you put Dacos in the forward line as a permanent forward in a game. The guy, being the ball magnet he is, he's still going to get it 15 to 20 times. And being the user he is, how much damage would he do up there with his 15 plus possessions? You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't lead him up there for an entire game. But he's got the potential to be a match winner up there.
Yeah, what game was it, Michael, that he kicked I don't know if he kicked a couple of goals, but he took a couple of marks. I can't remember who we were playing, but he was up forward and he played really well.
Yeah. Was this just recently?
Yeah.
Brisbane, he came out of the square a couple of times against Brisbane, didn't he?
I think it was Richmond at some stage. Was he playing forward against Richmond? Resting?
Oh, he was everywhere,
Yeah,
Richmond.
he was everywhere.
He was forward a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whether you'd be brave enough to say, let's play him as a permanent forward today, I don't think they would be. And I'm not saying it's the right call, but I think he could do a lot of damage down there as a permanent forward.
All right, Paige, what do you think of Serge's idea? Hello?
Yeah, I don't mind it. Look, if McStay comes out, and you've got Cox coming in, it feels a bit less stagnant because you do have obviously McStay. Sorry, as that sort of running straight lines, key forward doesn't give you as much. We've looked always dangerous whenever we put the ball to space and allow guys to get on to the end of it and be creative. And those kicks to advantage where you're giving forwards, one-on-one opportunity is where, if we have the contest, so be it. But more often than not, we're creating scoring opportunities. So even playing a high half forward, we kind of become really easy to defend against because we're bombing the ball in and it's sitting on blokes' heads all the time. We're not giving them the best look at it. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but I think you have to, Shooter's been up and about the last few weeks. Bo McCreary's done some really nice things as well when he's been in the side. Jamie Elliott's been a little bit sort of lean, but I think that's symptomatic really of the squad at large because our entries have been, pretty average. Our marks inside 50 over the last 6 weeks have dropped off significantly. And our conversion in front of goals, I think we're the number one ranked team for scoring efficiency in the first half of the year. And in the second half of the year, we've dropped off to be, I think, at like the fifth or something like that, I'm pretty sure. So there's been a serious turnaround in terms of form forward of 50. But I think half of the issue most of the time is that where the ball is being put isn't in high efficiency areas for us. Where it's all well and good to be having shots from the bloody apex of the boundary line on the 50 line, and just giving it a red hot crack, but we can't be taking shots at such range and obscure angles as often as we are and hoping to kick high scores because, well, the law of averages suggests that's not always going to be a straight line ticket to goal. So, we've really dropped off in goal square goals significantly.
Yeah.
Conversion from inside 30 has been
non-existent pretty much.
Thank God Gold Coast were challenging us to be the worst team in the top 8 for a little while there. So there's huge scope to get back on top, and all it's going to take is a couple of early ones and that momentum to shift and those confidence plays, especially the smalls, to start feasting early.
Rightio. Well, I've got 3 more questions here, which I just want one-word answers from all of you. And then once we've done that, I'll throw it to you guys and you can ask any question you want after that. So my first question is, if we lose, would you rather play GWS or Hawthorn in a semi-final? Oscar, you go first.
GWS.
Michael?
GWS.
Paige?
Yeah, I'll take GWS.
Serge?
I go Hawthorn.
Don't mind it against the grain.
You, Dermot?
GWS. All right. If we're to win and go through to a prelim, would you rather play Geelong or Brisbane, obviously at the MCG? Oscar?
Ooh, this is hard in the first one. I'm gonna say Geelong.
Mick?
Yep, Geelong.
Paige?
Couldn't care less. We'll beat either of them.
Serge?
Yeah, Bris Vegas.
Yeah.
Right. I would rather play Geelong. And if we're to go on to win the premiership, who needs to step up more than anyone else? Oscar? Yeah, it's a difficult one. Just one
Oh,
player, one player.
oh.
And you're not allowed to say Nick Dacos. That's no Nick Dacos.
Well, just based on sort of what's happened in the second half of the year, I'm going to say Jamie Elliott.
Mick?
Where the biggest upside could be would be Houston.
Paige?
Flip a coin between Houston and Brody Marchek.
Serge?
I'd go, my coin would be flipping towards Hill and McStay on the basis of with Hill. He finally gets a Guernsey in the preliminary final and then plays, back-to-back Norm Smiths.
It's interesting because I had my flip of the coin was DeGoey and Darcy Moore, especially if Jeremy Howe's not there.
Yeah, Darcy is such an important one. He's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders at the moment.
Yeah.
You think he takes it too seriously?
Yes, but also he has to, doesn't he? Can you be the captain of Collingwood and not take that role too seriously, especially when you're a key defender? And
he's very intense.
He's become intense.
And I'm wondering if that's too much weight of expectation on because he's a brilliant. He's very intelligent. I just don't understand how we could make some stupid decisions on the ground. Now, is it because Howe's not there?
I think he wants to help too much. I think he wants to assist others so much so that he forgets he forgets to help himself. He's so desperate to get across and to cover or to do things or to take on for others that he lets that sort of dictate his own one-on-one.
He's a backman. It's not rocket science.
I know.
He's trying to make it very scientific.
You're opening up Pandora's box here, I reckon, if you get into the Darcy Moore conversation, because I feel at the moment he's got as many people that love him as many people that are really pissed off with him.
Rightio. So does anyone have anything they want to chuck to the panel before we wrap it up?
I've got one thing. Silvani, just looking ahead to next year. Like, I'm a Silvani fan, but his ability to get under the ground bothers me. So I'm not overly fussed that St Kilda looks to have blown us out of the water with a contract. What are other people's thoughts?
Yeah, I'm on the same page. Like, I would love him, but I'm not willing to pay that much for him.
Get him at the right price, then fantastic. You're not giving up a draft pick, and all you're doing is paying a salary. Really, we haven't been able to fill, Nathan Murphy's position in this team. We need support, and you obviously need a plan ahead for guys like Howe that aren't going to be around forever. And is Billy Frampton that guy that backs up, Darcy forever? Reef McInnes is still got to come back from an ACL, so that's an unknown quantity there. It's a good stopgap. It's experience. I'd back our system in to get him right and get his body right. I think he's pretty fed up with what hasn't happened at Carlton, whereas what he thinks should have happened at Carlton. If it's the right price, then yeah, great.
Yeah. You have something to add?
Yeah, well, I think structurally he could actually be really important for us, but I'd be going like a maximum of like a 3-year deal at about 500 to 600k. But I think St Kilda are going 5 years at 800k or something,
800, 850 or something.
800, 850. Nah, not doing that. But I'm actually quite keen on him. I think when he's fit, the last couple of years, he's actually showing some real promise. So I'd like him, but just not beyond like 3 years, just due to his like injury history and things.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah.
Serge?
No. You could stay at Carlton or go to St Kilda.
Fair enough.
And I'd be interested. Here's my question to the panel. Okay, forget Silvani. Where are we going to get our next lot of defenders from, because they're quite sparse in the VFL, as in our VFL side.
Yeah.
I don't know what I look at other standalone clubs, and there's a plethora of players that we could pick up.
Well, that was my
and I don't
question
know
to
why
you.
we don't. In fact, there is one guy at Collingwood, Paige. I don't know if you know this bloke, DeBolfo.
Yep. Yeah, he looks like a known quantity. He looks like he's capable.
Yeah, very. Like, I compare him to Dean. Right now, the known quantity is you got to do it at the AFL level,
Yeah,
right?
it's the step up. It's a significant
But I
step
can tell you that as good as Dean has been in the VFL, when he's been manned up, he's been as bad as any other player in that team. DeBolfo, no. When he thrives on manning people up, he's not a bad mark. Anyway.
Is he Serge, is he any relation to Tony?
Yeah.
He is?
Yep.
Yep.
What's the relationship there?
Is he the son of Paige or
I'm
cousin
pretty.
or...
I thought it was a cousin.
Yeah.
Because Tony's a real Carlton man.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Yeah. So that would be really sweet to have him in our club.
Yeah, I've seen him. I've seen him in a couple of games they've televised recently, and you're right. He is impressive. Well, yeah, he's very noticeable. Anyway, let's just put it that way. Yeah, he tends to put himself.
He stood up. We did not lose to Williamstown because of him.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that the panel want to chuck out? No. Shaking.
I've got some questions that I could throw at you guys at a later date, but not for this.
Not for this one?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. And as I've said in past episodes, the panel show will be on every week during September, as long as we're suiting up that weekend. So, Serge, you'll be back either next week or the week after, depending on Thursday's result. And you'll be alongside Pat and the Grubman. As for Paige and Oscar, hopefully this isn't the last time we see you in 2025 and that you can jump on for a potential preliminary final or grand final episode. But to the three of you, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You've been amazing. And Mick and I will be back on Sunday afternoon for our regular show. So make sure you tune into that.
Looking forward to that.
Oh,
breaking news, Michael. Will Hoskin-Elliott is coming back.
He does. I don't know if I will. So.
Radio.
The hyphen.
Watch this space. Anyway, to our listeners, thanks for listening. We're only 3 wins away from our 17th flag.
Woohoo!
Go Pies.
Go Pies.
Go.